How do contemporary popular texts suggest that people need to possess masculine qualities to acquire autonomy in society? An analysis of Westworld, produced by Jonathan Nolan and Lisa Joy. 2016, after 3 waves of feminism, a female presidential candidate, and the universal knowledge that sexism is a substantial issue that needs to be addressed. Sexism should not be existent in society anymore. Amidst of this idea of equity, many recent events, such as the 2016 Olympics, where the Chicago Tribune headlined the story of Corey Cogdell and labeled her as the wife of a Bears linesman, suggest that sexism is far from being addressed. In Westworld, a popular contemporary TV show with 3.3 million viewers, the text suggests a subliminal message that society favors masculine attributes instead of feminine attributes. Contextually, Westworld is a HBO TV show that is critically and socially praised. Westworld takes place in a futuristic Western-themed amusement park populated by robots. High-paying visitors are allowed to do anything within the park without consequence. One large theme in visiting this amusement park is the ability to rape and murder people without retaliation from the robots. These actions are also inflicted on the lead protagonist in the text, a female robot named Dolores. Dolores, along with other robots, are given a specific narrative that they follow every day. This programmed narrative is a way for the owners of Westworld to limit the robots' autonomy, as means to keep all happenings predictable and inconsequential. As the show progresses, Dolores specifically gains a substantial amount of autonomy by breaking this narrative and retaliating against her loop. However, how does this suggest that autonomy is acquired through changing from a character with feminine qualities into a character of masculinity? Westworld indirectly suggests this implication through 2 main ideas: how personalities, unlike feminine stereotypes, do not have the ability to control their autonomy, and how masculine qualities can automatically allow you to acquire and gain autonomy in society. Firstly, Westworld implies how personalities, unlike feminine stereotypes, have a significant lack of autonomy. Women predominantly always have had a lesser status compared to men. An article written by Psychology Today stated, "Most women throughout history have been enslaved by men, even if women belong to higher social classes. Their lack of ability to influence political, religious, or cultural aspects of their society have caused this false underlying perspective. Through these fundamentally false assumptions, society has created certain gender stereotypes for feminine attributes." A gender identity article written by PlannedParenthood.org stated that characteristics of a feminine stereotype includes being emotional, dependent, sensitive, and passive. In Westworld, Dolores is introduced as a character that associates with all of these personalities. Her dependence on men and her lack of interactions with other women shows her role in the text as the dependent female character. Moreover, establishes that Dolores' future and her decisions are rarely going to be dictated by herself, but instead, this autonomy is dictated by 3 main characters in the text: the programmer of the park, Ford, a robot programmed to guide her path, Teddy, and an investor in the park, William, all of them who are male characters in the text. Consequently, audiences can subliminally relate Dolores' stereotypical feminine characteristics to the lack of autonomy in Westworld's male-dominated society. One of the most essential scenes in the first episode of Westworld is portrayed through an aspect of mise-en-scène, the positioning of actors. This is represented in a 2-shot of a man, Teddy, and Dolores.
That any day, the course of my whole life could change with just one chance encounter.
Don't mind me.
In that 2-shot, Teddy is on the right side of the frame and Dolores is on the left of the frame. In film, left to right suggests physical or character progression or improvement. The fact that Dolores was to the left of Teddy suggests that Teddy had to personally deteriorate as a character to help a female, who is being portrayed as reliant on male characters. Furthermore, when Teddy picks up the object, only his hands are in the frame. This suggests that he is the only character out of the 2 who has the ability to pick up the object. Consequently, audiences can infer that Dolores has a strong dependent personality, a common feminine stereotype. This also allows audiences to understand how dominant male characters will always need to assist her. Thus, her right to self-govern herself, which is the denotation for autonomy, is being highly diminished. Westworld uses this establishment of Dolores' stereotypical feminine characteristics to further dissect this idea through the use of diction. In a conversation between Dolores' programmer and Dolores, the programmer asks a question.
Have you ever lied to us?
No.
The message in this conversation is emphasized through the use of the word ever. This use of diction negatively connotes a question that disregards any situation, which creates a subtext of a situation that can associate with life-threatening or harmful scenarios. Furthermore, by incorporating this use of diction into the question, would you ever hurt a living thing, suggests that dependent female characters would always be acquiescent and submissive at all times. Moreover, creates a subtext of a refusal to use force to defend herself. This submission and the lack of self-defense connotes how Dolores' femininity would always be compliant with authority figures, which in Westworld is portrayed as male characters. Therefore, Dolores' obedience to dominant male figures represents how her feminine characteristics are programmed to restrict her ability to make independent decisions. Consequently, this lack of individualism caused by her feminine characteristics is a lack of Dolores' autonomy. Westworld further explores the idea of a masculine favored world by describing how masculine qualities will automatically lead to a gain in autonomy within society. An article, "This is a Man's World, A Woman's Life in a Male-Dominated Society," posted on the Rotunda by Courtney Carroll, stated that a man's job is outside of the home. He isn't required by society to take care of his children in any physical or emotional way because that's what the mother is for. This shows that men have been falsely seen as a dominant and authoritative figure within society due to their masculine characteristics. A gender identity article written by the PlannedParenthood.org stated that characteristics of a masculine stereotype include being independent, experienced, strong, competitive. As Westworld progresses, Dolores starts to disassociate with her program narrative that directly restricts her autonomy and starts to independently self-govern her actions. Thus, we see a significant increase in Dolores' autonomy regardless of her integration within a male-dominated society. This transition is mainly caused by the fact that Dolores starts to diminish her established feminine personality and consequently develops many masculine qualities. Dolores makes developments in her ability to conduct independent actions and her ability to be emotionally resilient. This ultimately allows audiences to subconsciously associate how her masculine qualities are the direct causes to her gain in autonomy. A textual representation of this transition is conveyed through an allusion to the persecuted maiden. The persecuted maiden is a common theme from Greek mythology in the arts where a young beautiful lady is within a problematic situation against a villain who needs a male character to save her. The persecuted maiden directly represents the common feminine stereotype, a character with high dependency on men. In the following scene, Dolores is within a life-threatening situation. As a reaction, Dolores independently kills all threats for her self-benefit, a universal masculine characteristic.
The maze.
Dolores, run! How did you do that?
I imagined a story where I didn't have to be the damsel.
The use of metaphor in the term story represents the narrative of Dolores, in which she has to be saved by a male character within the storyline, which mimics the Greek mythology of the persecuted maiden. The use of diction in the terms didn't need connotes her refusal to be the dependent character within the situation, and her choice of becoming independent. This refusal in regards to the damsel further symbolizes the fact that Dolores has a desire to become the independent character who saves the weak, instead of being the feminine stereotype that requires an authoritative figure. These essential connotations have a subtext of Dolores' choice to have full autonomy with her decisions, which is assisted by her masculine qualities. A clear visual transition into a masculine character is represented through Dolores' change in costuming, an essential aspect of mise-en-scène. During the first episode, Dolores was wearing a dress which is reminiscent of the dress worn by Alice from Alice in Wonderland. The story of Alice is an extended allegory for growing up. A subtext of youth is the need to have an authority figure to take care of the young. Thus, the costume design of Dolores subliminally infers that dependence is essential for her growth, and she does not have the ability to independently conduct actions for her own good. However, during her transition into a masculine character, her costume significantly changes into a cowboy-themed outfit. As shown in Westworld, those who wear these outfits are always male figures that have the ability to perform any actions they want for their self-benefit, their ability to self-govern with independence. Thus, the change in outfit can allow audiences to identify with many masculine stereotypes, such as the ability to kill without remorse, or to be emotionally detached from a situation. These qualities reflect on Dolores' actions throughout her transition. Consequently, this transition from an outfit that connotes a dependent character into one that has a subtext of independence directly shows Dolores' gain in autonomy as a result of her masculinity. Although Westworld attempts to empower women by having the main protagonist as a female character, the text subliminally implies masculine attributes are favored in society. This is done through the representation of feminine characters as dependent personalities with a severe lack of autonomy, whilst representing masculine characters as those who have the privilege to gain individualism. Instead, a text should be empowering women through keeping their femininity whilst possessing their independence, which should not be a personality that is one-dimensional or stereotypical. As stated in the article, this is a man's world, a woman's life in a male-dominated society, posted on the Rotunda by Courtney Carroll. Men and women are equal. They both have the ability to be successful in anything they try because they are not defined by these stereotypes.